They were dug uh, in a little town. I think the town sounded like it sounded like Moosburg. It was a holding place because they we were supposed to be keeping this at that time. They were fighting in Aachen, the big city of Aachen, and with that was the red one, and we always were on the right flank. It took them a long time before they even took it. They bombed that city till it was level, and it still took them 3 weeks to go because they were fighting in the cellar. And what kept it, there was a road junction about 10 miles from there. We were there, and that we had to be knocked that out to relieve them, so that way they could advance. And before I got there, they had already attacked and they didn't budge, because they had tanks dug in. They had a tank dug in and just fired like that. And their tanks was 88. They used it as regular bullets. We was holding there until later on we attacked it again. That's where we were hit pretty hard. We attacked, I think, company strength, and as we were running into her, and then all of a sudden we found out that the tank was there. It was hidden, You start devastating firepower. He was knocking us down like kidpins. And as we were going in, before this, I noticed how the ground is, there's a lot of wood, you know what I mean? The tank couldn't have went because it was too woody. And it was kind of like a depression, I don't know why I happened to notice, but coming back, when we start turning around and run back, I just had the gun like this, and I turned around, I started back. And I don't know, I do a lot of things in combat self-conscious. You don't know what you just around me. And I just went to my right, and I dropped it just like a little gully, and I dropped it. And when I dropped the gun, and looked up, and here's the guys, you could see the guys falling, And I said, get over here. And some heard me. So there was about 6 guys that finally heard me, and they dove in. And then everything got quiet. It was quiet. To me, it seemed like a whole day got quiet, but it was only about maybe half an hour. Everything stopped, Nothing was moving. Every once in a while you hear, a bone. You know what I'm talking about. I don't like how it says it. Anyway, so they look at me and they says, what do you think we're going to do? I says, I don't know. I was a little totem pole guy, They're asking me that, and I didn't know them from Adam, you know what I mean? Actually really know them, you know what I mean? I says, I don't know. I says, and then he said, what do you think? I said, and one suggested, well, why don't we try to get back? I said, I'm not going back. I said, why? I said, there's too many snipers right now. I said, and they love to get a single guy come back. I said, I'm not going back. I'm going to stay here till dark at least. He said, well, what if they come and attack us? I said, well, you know what? I said, you're right. I'm going to go out there and get some ammo. I'm going to stay here for as long as I can. Because there was ammo and there was canteens, there were bodies out there. And, well, you got the gun? I said, yes. But I got to get ammo for it if I'm going to stay here. So we kind of crawled, and we wanted to make a low profile. I went out there, and I made 3 or 4 trips up there. I remember I made at least had five of them 250 round cans. I piled them there, and I got the tripod. I set it up there where I just set it up so I could fire over the little knoll, but they couldn't fire on me unless I stood up. You understand? So I see them guys gathering. I said, you better get some more guns. You can rifle them and get. And it's a good thing there was a guy with a BAR, and he got quite a few battledeers and he loaded some clips for his BAR, which is an automatic weapon. So they were well grouped together, getting our deals together. We don't know what was happening. See, we just do it automatically. And they seemed to look to me like I knew what the heck was going on. And I said, I don't know. I come out. They said, well, what would you think? I said, well, I told her, you know what? If they're going to do something, they're going to do it pretty soon. I said, and if I was you in the BAR, if you're going to be here, why don't you get the left flag? And I'll tell you what me and you're going to do. I said, we're just going to fire spurts. And you do the same because I want them to think you got a machine gun also. And that means that there were more troops here. And you guys with extra rifles, I don't care if you shoot or not, just shoot that rifle. Make sure, I want you to make a lot of noise. I said, I think that would work. And it did work. They tried 2 or 3 times, you know what I mean? We didn't hit anything because we just fired it because, the same way that they did. They just tried to creep up and, they had patrols out. So after it got quiet, in Germany, it gets dark in the woods real early. It got dark, and he says, well, they got to guys, well, we're going to start moving. I'm going to go. I said, they looked at me, you going? Nah, I'm going to stay. I decided to stay. I said, the Lord helped me here. And I said, he's telling me something. I'm going to stay here. So they talk about themselves, and people say, we're going to be with you. I said, well, look, I'm not forcing you. You guys do what you want. Don't look at me and why do you keep asking me these questions? And he said, well, you seem to know. I said, I'm like you. I'm the new recruit. And he said, so they all laughed, we joke. That's the first time I ever heard them laugh.